Hi guys, it's Sterling Spectre here. In today's video, I'll be explaining the difference between proof of work and proof of stake. So let's start by explaining how cryptocurrencies work. All cryptos run on a blockchain. As the name suggests, it's a chain of blocks. These blocks contain transactions on the network. For example, if we want to send 10 Bitcoin to a friend, we would send it to their address. Once we send it, the transaction is put into the next block in the chain. Once the block is validated, then the transaction from you to your friend is completed and the Bitcoin will be sent to their wallet. Now there are many ways to validate a block on the network, but the most popular ways are proof of work and proof of stake. So basically these methods are ways to validate the network. Let's head into how proof of work validates a block and then we'll go over to how proof of stake does it. So proof of work is the original way that cryptocurrencies use to validate blocks. It's called proof of work because it requires work to be done. This work comes in a form of a crypto miner. Miners around the world are competing to find blocks and verify transactions. For example, if you're a miner, you are competing with every other miner on the network. If you have the most computing power on the network, then it's more likely to choose you to validate the block. Once you validate a block on the network, it will reward you in the form of predetermined amount of crypto coin. In the case of Ethereum, if you manage to mine a block, you'll be rewarded 2 ETH for validating it. Now when you are a miner, you can't just simply start mining and find a block. You need a certain amount of hash rate to be able to have a shot at mining a block. Hash rate is a measure of computing power, so things such as GPUs and CPUs are the main providers of hashing power. For example, an NVIDIA 3090 graphics card has a caching capability of around 110 megahash per second. This might seem like a lot, but if you're looking to mine Ethereum solo, you need around 12 gigahash of power, which is around 100 3090 cards. There is another option for miners that don't have that amount of hashing power, and this comes in the form of pool mining. This is where a miner pools in with other miners from around the world to find blocks together. Then, if a block is found, the miners split the rewards for validating the block. This type of pool mining is common for most coins, as a lot of small miners don't have the hashing power to solo mine. So now I've explained proof of work, let's get into proof of stake. Staking serves the same function as proof of work, but does it in a different way. In general, a person who stakes their coins gets a chance to validate new transactions on the blockchain. In turn, they receive rewards. So you take some of your coins and give it to their network. The network then locks up this amount of coins and it becomes a validator. This means that you can't access the amount of coins once staked. You can choose to unstake your coins whenever you want though. So once your amount of coins are staked, the network will select a staker based on the amount of coins they have chosen to stake. So the more coins you stake, the more likely they are to get selected. When validating a block, the network will choose multiple stakers to confirm the block. This is different to mining, as when you're mining, only one miner validates the block. If you are selected to be the validator of the block, you will then receive a reward based on the amount of coins you decided to stake. Much like mining, staking also follows the same format of solo staking and pool staking. For example, to become a solo staker, you need to run your own node. To do this, you might need to put in a lot of money to buy the node. However, if you stake in a pool, then you use someone else's node and pool your coins into a collective. So that's how proof of stake works. I now want to touch on the biggest crypto news of 2020, and that is the switch of Ethereum's making from proof of work to proof of stake. So back in 2020, Ethereum announced that they would be switching from proof of work to proof of stake. This is massive for Ethereum as it has the second biggest crypto in the world, and they have chosen to adopt this new way of validating. The main reason for the switch is that they say that proof of work system is outdated and the environmental impact is very harmful. As the second biggest crypto, a lot of power is put into the network every day, and therefore using a lot of electricity. Reports are that the power it put into Ethereum every day can fuel a small country. We will get into the pros and cons of both proof of stake and proof of work soon, however I want to touch on the effects that will have on mining. If Ethereum is willing to use proof of stake, then it could encourage many other coins to make the switch. This could in turn drive proof of work out and proof of stake in. A lot of newer coins on the market already use proof of stake, and older ones tend to use proof of work. We know that Bitcoin can't change from proof of work to staking because the original founder is missing or dead, so the code can't be changed. This means as long as Bitcoin is on top, I think we can assume that proof of work will stay as a viable way to validate blocks. Now I want to talk about first the pros and cons of staking. The main advantage of staking is that it allows for faster transactions and more scalability. The crypto space has had to deal with slow transaction times when compared to major banking transactions. Staking is aiming to build a faster and larger transaction network that will rival Visa and MasterCard payments. However, the downside of this is that crypto doesn't have enough users yet to fully test the network. We might not see this proof of stake working until later in the future. Another advantage that it has is it has a much smaller environmental impact when compared to proof of work. All the network needs is nodes to validate the block, and these are less energy intensive and they cost less over time to run than miners. The problem with running nodes and staking is it can lead to centralization, as many exchanges run their own nodes so they have a large amount of staking coins. If all these exchanges decided to turn off their nodes, then the network would struggle to keep up. This is why it's good for people to set up nodes themselves to make the network more decentralized. This is the whole point of crypto, and that's to have a decentralized network which nobody can shut down or manipulate. Therefore, proof of stake isn't as secure as proof of work when it comes to network security. Lastly, a big advantage is that staking gives economic incentive to validate these blocks. This is in the form of more coins. Now this tends to be less than mining, but is more stable stream of revenue. Now let's move on to the pros and cons of proof of work. The main advantage is the decentralization part of proof of work. As each miner is a block validator, this means that each miner contributes to the network. As we all know, there are miners around the world, so this means that all miners created a web of decentralization. Another advantage is that it's the only mechanism to be proven to work at scale, and has shown with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Staking has yet to prove that proof of stake works at scale. Another thing that adds to the security of the network is the high cost of operating. As the equipment to mine is very expensive, it is also protected by things such as insurance and physical security. Many Bitcoin farms are insured to up to millions and have their own private security. Now on the flip side, proof of work gives off a considerable amount of e-waste. By using all this electricity, mining has become a topic of discussion for many governments, and therefore many people have been forced to shut down their mining rigs. Crypto mining has been banned in China and many other countries. Also, Russia are looking to ban it as well due to the environmental concerns. The biggest disadvantage is that it also requires an increasing amount of energy. So it continually takes more energy to validate blocks. For example, back in 2019, it took around $1,000 of electricity to mine a block, and now it takes around $15,000 per block. The last disadvantage is that it's slower than proof of stake networks. This is because it needs more computing power to make it faster. Overall, both these mechanisms have had good and bad points. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned about proof of work and proof of stake. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment below if you have any thoughts on both of these mechanisms.